Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're unlocking one of the absolute most fascinating and, frankly, cryptic images from the entire 17th century alchemical tradition. We are decoding Plate 4 of the famous Mutus Liber, or the Mute Book. Now, the Mutus Liber is legendary for doing something pretty incredible. It communicates wildly complex philosophical and chemical processes entirely without words. It's like a giant puzzle. And Plate 4? Well, it's widely regarded as the most direct visual instruction manual for preparing what alchemists called the Universal Solvent. It's this remarkable piece of history where hands-on, practical chemistry collides perfectly with profound spiritual philosophy. I am absolutely thrilled to break down exactly what we're looking at here, so let's get into it.
So if you were just casually passing by this image, you'd probably stop and ask the obvious question. What in the world are these people doing with a giant soaking wet bed sheet? You might look at this and think, maybe they're just getting a really intense, super early head start on their 1600s laundry routine. But we're going to snap right out of that mundane view, because behind this absurd-looking pastoral scene is a deeply esoteric reality. This isn't about washing clothes at all. This is actually a highly specific, carefully timed harvest of celestial energy. Okay, let's dive into this. To really peel the onion of this bizarre image, we're going to use our three lenses of decoding. First, we'll do a visual walkthrough. Second, the chemistry lens. Third, the psychology lens. And fourth, the hermetic lens. Starting off with step 1, the visual walkthrough. This is the basic blueprint of Plate 4. Before we can even begin to understand the hidden depths of this operation, we have to look at the literal surface-level elements. Starting from the heavens above, look right at the top, and you'll see a very clear astrological alignment. The sun sits proudly in the top left corner, and the crescent moon is hanging out right there in the top right. But right between them, radiating down from the sky, you've got these distinct beams descending to the landscape below, illuminating two very specific animals grazing in the field. We have a ram, which represents Aries. This signifies the spring equinox, running from March to April. It's the cardinal fire element, totally symbolizing the raw, explosive awakening of nature. And right next to it is a bull, representing Taurus, covering April into May. Taurus represents fixed earth, it's ruled by Venus, and it symbolizes physical condensation and fertility. Put them together, and this brilliantly illustrates the exact cosmic timing required for the entire operation. And that cosmic timing is absolutely crucial because it's all about gathering the flaws coeli, which translates to the flower of heaven. This is the universal solvent, the vital spirit of the world. The visual symbolism of that ram and bull is telling the practitioner that this substance can only be gathered during a highly specific, non-negotiable astronomical window, literally from the spring equinox straight through May. The alchemists believe that if you tried to gather this dew outside of that specific window, it would be entirely dead. It would lack the vital celestial energy required for their great work. Moving down to the foreground, we meet our human practitioners. We've got a male adept and his female partner standing out in the field. They're holding opposite ends of a massive, heavily soaked linen sheet, and they are actively wringing all that liquid out into a large basin resting on the grass. What's really important to notice here is that they're working together. In these alchemical depictions, you will rarely, if ever, see the alchemist working totally alone. Which brings us to step 2, the chemistry lens. Let's look at this as physical laboratory alchemy. When we shift into a highly analytical, scientific mindset, we realize that while this looks like some mythic philosophical drawing, to the historical chemists of the time, this was a literal, tangible laboratory recipe for the dew operation. Step 1, you go to an open, hilly field and stretch several large white sheets of linen horizontally on wooden frames, pegging them to the ground at night. Step 2, you let those sheets act as giant sponges to absorb the heavy night condensation and dawn moisture. Step 3, and this is the tricky part. The practitioners have to wring out these soaked sheets at the exact moment of dawn before the sun rises too high and evaporates the volatile essence they're trying to catch. Finally, step 4. They'd collect gallons and gallons of this liquid and gently evaporate it. Why? Their ultimate goal was to harvest volatile nitre. That's an organic, non-corrosive solvent that they genuinely believed could dissolve gold and silver without having to use boiling, highly dangerous acids. So when that pure spring dew is gently evaporated, it leaves behind something pretty remarkable, the salt of dew, sometimes called the salt of glass. It's this incredibly fine, reddish-white nitrous salt.
Now, modern chemistry actually backs this up. It tells us that this salt contains dissolved nitrous and ammonium compounds that are quite literally formed by springtime lightning and atmospheric radiation. This is exactly why the alchemists insisted this work absolutely had to occur at dawn, in completely untouched rural fields, miles away from any city pollution. Absolute purity of the environment and perfect timing were just mandatory to capture these highly reactive compounds. All right, let's pivot to step 3, the psychology lens. This is where we talk about gathering the anima and animus. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the profound contrast between the literal act of gathering moisture and the psychological act of collecting subtle realizations. In physical alchemy, you're out there gathering literal spring dew, but in psychological alchemy, you are gathering unconscious insights. Just think of that wide open field at night as the vast, unexplored expanse of your own unconscious mind. The dew that condenses so silently in the dark, that perfectly symbolizes those subtle, delicate psychological realizations that form overnight, while your conscious ego is completely fast asleep.
And this connects right back to the female companion in the image, the Sor Mystica, or the mystical sister. Her presence in the field isn't just because wringing out giant wet sheets is a two-person job. She highlights the profound psychological necessity of integrating the anima for a male practitioner or the animus for a female practitioner. It proves that transformation is inherently relational. It's a non-isolated process. The male represents the solar or sulfur principle, and the female represents the lunar or mercury principle. The fact that they are working together mirrors the absolute cosmic polarity you need to extract life and awareness out of raw nature. Take a closer look at the physical action they are performing. Twisting that cloth isn't just about extracting water. It is a metaphor for psychic tension. It represents the deliberate and honestly sometimes painful conscious effort needed to take raw, intangible insights, those fleeting dreams and shadowy thoughts that the dew represents, and apply real pressure to them. By wringing the cloth, they are doing the hard work of solidifying intangible dreams into a tangible, conscious psychological reality, caught safely in the basin of the waking mind. Finally, let's look through our fourth layer, the Hermetic lens, philosophy and natural magic. Let's zoom all the way out to understand the grand cosmological blueprint of as above, so below. This image beautifully captures the downward descent of light. Remember those radiant rays descending from the heavens between Aries and Taurus? This demonstrates a core Hermetic belief. Celestial energy, the vital spirit of the universe, actually physicalizes itself. It descends from the stars and is literally captured by the earth, manifesting physically right into that spring dew. The macrocosm of the stars directly feeds the microcosm of the field. So the crucial point is this: the water itself is merely a temporary vessel. It's the matrix. It is holding something much, much more profound. The hidden salt within the water, that vital electric energy trapped inside the liquid, is the true goal of the entire operation. And that's true whether you're trying to dissolve literal gold in a 17th century lab or trying to realize your own golden potential in your own mind. Plate 4 perfectly illustrates this really profound Hermetic rule. Spirit cannot act upon matter without a medium to bridge them. The celestial energy of the sun and moon, which is the spirit, cannot directly touch the earth, the matter, without burning it up or just passing right through it. It requires the gentle, mediating vehicle of water, our spring dew, to act as the bridge. That is why this entire, elaborate celestial and earthly operation was entirely necessary in the first place. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a thought to apply to your own life. We've seen how these early alchemists went to just extraordinary lengths, timing their actions perfectly with the stars, just to harvest the subtle energy of nature. So ask yourself, what dew are you leaving unharvested in your own unconscious mind? What subtle, profound insights are forming in the dark right now, just waiting for you to apply the conscious effort and psychic tension needed to wring them into reality? Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive into the Mutus Liber. Stay curious, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.